Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Ollie and today we're going to be running through scheduled purchasing in the latest version of Prima Cloud. If you've got any questions during or after the session, Mike's on the live chat today, so feel free to ask away. First of all then, scheduled purchasing, what is it? So scheduled purchasing is an automated mechanism in the system whereby you can purchase from your electronic suppliers based on preferences. So those kind of preferences or configurations that you can set would be based on supplier, delivery type, stock availability, and also whether you allow multiple suppliers per sales order. So from there you can define the kind of EDI suppliers, so Devow, Exertis, whoever it may be, set up all the configurations in terms of what delivery types you allow, and set that up too. So that's the sort of stuff we'll run through during the session today. Other things that you can set, so per company basis and per location basis, you can actually see who is included in the automated, process in your system. So you don't have to have scheduled purchasing set up for everyone. You can have it set up for certain regions, certain accounts, certain account managers' accounts, etc., etc. You can really drill down into the kind of the nitty gritty of what you're wanting to do. So I guess for one business, you may want to look at doing a purchase schedule run that's automated for everyone that's non-local versus local or vice versa. So you can really kind of, dictate in terms of your preferences, what works best for you, and of course enable the automation on the back of, what admin stuff you're already doing. So if you're always doing a Vow run, an Exertis run, however it may be, 5 o'clock every day, 2 o'clock every day, 11 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be, those kind of admin runs or tasks that you're doing, you can actually allow the system to do for you. So you can let your system build up throughout the day, so you're authorizing your orders, they're arriving into your requirement screen, and then from there then the system's going to go in there and say, right, okay, well based on all these preferences and all these configurations, I'll fetch those, shop with the supplier, and then that's just more kind of items to, allow the system to take care of for you. Points to bear in mind, so it is only allowed for EDI suppliers. So of course, if it's a non-EDI supplier, you can't have scheduled purchasing set up for those. Stock is something to bear in mind. So you are able to set up a kind of a check stock feature on the schedule. However, it's running off a stock file that your supplier uploads to your system. So rather than it fetching there and then the stock feed, what it will do is collect the most kind of recent file. So as an example, if the stock file is uploaded at 1:30 and you run your scheduled purchasing at 2, it's going to be running off that file. So it's worth checking out with your suppliers how often your stock files are going on and how often Prima's checking for those stock with you, which of course you can check with those guys as well to run through particular suppliers or particular kind of configurations to your database, which of course we do advise to run through with a member of the team, whether that's myself, Mike, Steve, whoever it may be, to actually kind of sit down with you and configure it, because it's a big part of the system and automation is something that can go absolutely brilliant for you as well. And finally, another thing to bear in mind is there will be an exceptions list that's left behind in your requirements. So if you're setting these schedules up, so it's checking stock or it's purchasing, whatever it may be, then from there, then just bear in mind, if your system's not kept up to date from a discontinued product point of view, which of course there are kind of automated routines for that, but effectively what it would do then is come back with a message to say unavailable to supply or discontinued products, and from there then your schedule that's run off at 2 o'clock to purchase with a supplier, you're then going to have at 2:05, whatever it may be, an item in there to say, right, this item is discontinued, so we can't actually supply that. So of course you need to make sure that you are monitoring that area, even if you have to use automated routines set up. Okay, so in terms of the areas of the system then, I'm just going to switch over to my other screen now, and I'll run through the system keys that you can set up, so margins and levels in terms of what can go through the system, auto purchase in terms of what suppliers, delivery types, etc., can be configured, and then also then the bit that's new, which is the schedule. So you can actually define at certain times of the day where the system's going to shop from. So 11 o'clock from Exertis, 2 o'clock from whoever it may be, you can do that. So if I switch on to my live screen, and I'll start off in the administration. So from here, there's auto purchase, which we've covered a webinar on this previously, so feel free to refer back. And we've also got scheduled purchasing as well. So I'll cover off the auto purchase in a brief form. And again, any questions you do have, feel free to ask away. Or if you're watching this back, get in touch with the team and we can run through that with you. So in your system keys, you've got a section in here for sales system keys just here. So it's preloaded because I was already in there before. So once I've come into here, there's many different options you can have. So rather than just auto purchasing anything, you can set low margin kind of thresholds, high margin, values per line, values per order. So as an example, a real quick one here is that we've got, of course, enabled to begin with, the most important part. So only enable that when you're confident that all companies in your database and locations are set that you want to have. So that's an important part as well. And then from here then, you've got many different options, where this one, the first example I'll run through, is enable the highline value check on auto purchase. So that basically means where the maximum value of an order line is over £500 in this instance, that'll then stop it from being automatically purchased or shopped as such. And all these are the ones that you've got there in terms of maximum value of an order, margins. So from here, you've got the options for margins, line level, whether it's kind of great or small, values at line level, and also values on an order level as well. So all these things can be preset, and as I mentioned, there is a webinar covering the full detail behind this section too. Okay, so once that's set, you've then got the option for in automation. We have got the auto purchase setup, which I'll click into there, and from here now, this is where you're setting up your suppliers, your delivery types, and all the rest of it. So as you can see straight away, I've already got one set up here for Vow and Exertis based on delivery types. So if I wanted to create a new one or update an existing one, I can set auto purchase entries just here. And on screen now, I can hit new, I can save, I can remove, of course, all these different functions are in there to update. So right now, I've got a function for the supplier. I can just select from the drop down in terms of who I want it to be with. So Vow in this instance. The depot, if you are using multiple depots in the system, typically it's going to be HQ for most users. Delivery type, in terms of whether you want that set up for standard, pit wrap, and direct. And once you've selected your delivery type as well, you can also pull through the supplier's delivery code as well. So if you're going to do like a direct pre-10, those kind of things, you can set those up too. The enable auto purchase, so this is where it's changed in the latest version, is you can now set it, so as you can see there, yes and scheduled. So this is the part now where you put in place, don't just shop it straight away, shop it at 5 o'clock, shop it at 2 o'clock, whenever it may be. And you've also got the option there for yes on completion. So if it's a direct delivery as an example, probably the most popular, then as soon as you authorize your sales order, it's going to fire off that order from requirements and you don't have to touch it. You can of course use back to back, you can of course purchase it as normal through requirements, but this is an added kind of functionality and feature that you can use. So on this basis, I'm just going to use a scheduled because that's what the webinar is based on today. And then from here then, you've got the option for check stock and also allow multiple suppliers. So checking stock, if that's set to no, you don't mind back orders coming through. So it's not actually going to check the stock and it'll just shop the goods straight away. If you set that to yes, it's then going to make sure that whatever it's shopping, there's stock available of the item. So as I mentioned there, just bearing in mind, it's going to be shopping based on the stock file that's most frequent, so every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, rather than a live stock check there and then in the system. So that's important to note. And also the final one, allow multiple suppliers. So if that's set to yes, you've got a sales order for Vow, Exertis, CTS, Trade Supply, whoever it may be, then that allows you then to have all those different kind of suppliers on one order and still shop the goods. If you set that to no, then if you had an order with Vow, Exertis, CTS, Trade Supply as examples, then that would stop you from automatically shopping those goods. So it can then, I guess, arrive into requirements and you can make the decision in terms of, right, well, actually, I don't want to source 4 different items from 4 different suppliers. I'm going to chop and change that as I need to as well. So that's the part where you're setting up the auto purchase setup. And the new part is the auto purchase schedule. So jumping into here. And from here, you can now see there's the option to set purchase schedules. So it's never been done before, you click into that. But for me, I've already got one set up, so I can double click into it. So either way, same kind of function. Okay. So from here now, what I would do as a first point of call is if it's the first time you come into this part of the system, you would hit new, and that then would create a new entry at the very top. Once that's created, I can then set a schedule. So this is then when you're saying, right, okay, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, etc. Select the days you want it to run on. So it could be the case that you're doing an early dart on a certain day or wherever it may be, and you want the system to actually shop for you on those days. Of course, you can configure it that way also. So you can set those up, save it, and that's then saved as a schedule. What you would then see is on your right hand side over here, if I just remove those back into that section, you'll then see what jobs are available. So referring back to the purchase setup there, I know that I've got vow set up on a schedule and also exerted set up on a schedule. The one where it was vow direct and it wasn't set to be scheduled, it was set to be kind of as and when, that won't show as an available job because that's not a scheduled kind of automation routine as such. So from here now, on my 5 o'clock run, I can say, right, add vow in and add exerted in there also. So of course I can kind of predefine and say, well actually I'm just going to do a run for vow. Then what I would do there is remove exercice from this kind of section, and then on the exercice run it may be at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5:30, whatever it may be. So I'm going to add both of those in for there, hit save, and that's my first schedule set up. Set up another one, same thing again, hit new, and then from here then you can see a new entry has just been created. I can set a schedule, so I can say, well actually this one's going to be 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock, etc. Set that up, and that's then ready to go. So I won't do that on this test database here. So as now, I've got one schedule set up, and that's ready for me in the database. So that's the schedule now set up and configured. And going into the database, then from here now, the other important parts to note, as I mentioned, is at company level and also location. So if I just drill down into a test company here, into that. Okay, now from here, I've got the option at customer level to untick the auto purchase, which enables them for both the schedule and also the automated kind of purchase on completion. So if I untick that, this customer wouldn't be included. And I can also go into the main and actually define at location level. So in Ollie Rolls FC, I may have headquarters based in Cheshire that is allowed to be auto purchased, but I may have headquarters number 2 in London that isn't. So of course you can then drill down at location level and say, well actually no, this one, I'm going to take that off. So you can untick that from your list. Okay. So that is then configuring your system for auto purchase and scheduled purchasing based on supplier, but also then your customer kind of section as well. So from there now, I go and raise a sales order, of course via new record, sales order, and then go through that way. And then once I've processed my order through the system, it's then available in my requirements list to be shopped. So if I just jump into here now, a few that I prepared earlier are some items just here now. So as you can see, the date here is scheduled for the 8th at 5 o'clock based on when those orders were placed, and of course EDC has not been running on this test database since then. You can then see what's set to be scheduled, so S, and if there was some on completion, there would be that option in there as well for, oh there you go, for the Y. For those that can't be auto purchased, so as an example here, dynamic in the system, then that will be set to no. So you can see from here what's set to be scheduled, what's set to be picked up by the system on completion, and what do I need to deal with effectively. So from here, as I mentioned, it is important that your Prima EDC, also known as EDI, is running, because that is what kind of connects Prima with your suppliers and also from the purchasing kind of automation here. So if the EDC was running right now, technically those two items right there wouldn't be here because they would have been shopped, gone off straight away. For these ones here, they would remain. So throughout the day, your requirements list is building. The likes of the vow for the exertis that we both set up on the standard delivery on a schedule. And as you can see, they're going to be picked up at 5 o'clock on that day once EDC has gone around that job and picked it up. So from here now, all that I'm actually probably going to be looking at, and of course these two fields just here, in your database and against your user, they're more than likely going to be towards the end over here. So you can bring the grids that you need to by dragging and dropping and bringing that through. And then once you're happy, right click, save settings, and that's configured for your user. So just for the purpose of this webinar, I've dragged them to the front over here rather. And from there now you can see the system's going to pick up those goods based on that criteria and actually shop from there. So 5 o'clock today, effectively, if that was the kind of the correct, obviously, date and timestamp, that would then pull through from UDC and shop it straight away. So that's everything from a scheduled purchasing point of view. Any questions you do have at all, feel free to ask away in the live chat, or if you're watching this back, feel free to get in touch with myself, Mike, or any of the kind of the training team. We can run through configuring this to your database for you as well. Okay, so thanks for your time today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.